Good afternoon, guys. For today, we're going to talk about the free enterprise model. So, what is a free enterprise model? So, it consists of three basic principles with a few subsets or elements that drive the model. In fact, whether you own a business or you are a manager of an enterprise, small, medium, or large, you can use this model as a valuable tool in moving the idea forward. Now, this model is universal and allows all types of managers in all types of industries to work with an idea and bring it to fruition or ban the idea. First, begin with an idea that moves the manager to some form of action. Now, the idea begins to take shape as the opportunity is sized up and analyzed. The manager then begins to communicate his or her idea to others and conducts further analysis of the opportunity. Now, of course, everything starts with an idea. The idea can be original or it can be a derivative or a repurpose of other ideas that you previously had. Now, the important thing is you have to analyze that idea to discover an opportunity to create profit. Now, this analysis is required to realize just how viable an opportunity may or may not be. Once it is determined that there exists a fairly practical opportunity, then the manager begins to design a plan to gather proper resources, those elements that are needed to turn an opportunity into reality. Now, the resources required may vary from organization to organization, but there are few basic resources to consider. So you have your tools, technology, capital, industry best practices, partners, suppliers, value-added resellers, and important people or staff, not just the management team. Those are the peoples that have boots on the ground, so to speak, that they know what they're talking about because they have experienced that kind of opportunity. Now, resources are vastly important in the overall success of making the opportunity a reality. After discovering an opportunity, you have to think about what resources you need to make that idea into reality. After the resources have been identified and even allocated, the next step is to formulate a team that will be responsible for driving the entire concept into a formidable money-making opportunity. Now, the team is made up of individuals who will be held responsible for the success and failure of the opportunity. Now, forming a team is one of the most important steps that you have to make. Even if you think that your business will be sole proprietorship, recognize that you cannot do everything alone and you have to build a team around you to realize your vision. Now, the free enterprise model can be represented visually using this diagram. As you can see, this is a visual representation of the process. It starts again with an idea and then analyze that idea to find an opportunity. Okay? Assess what resources you have to develop a plan and then form a team to develop a strategy. And then the team assesses and reviews the opportunity again. It's actually a cyclical process until you can make a viable, profitable business or even scrap the idea and think of a new one. Now, at the center of it all is communication. That is why communication is essential to any entrepreneurial endeavor. Every business requires communication, and communication is needed to expand the business. So, let's now talk about the 4 elements to consider in planning a business. As you go through the exercise of sizing up an opportunity, gathering the proper resources, and assembling the best team to manage your project, let's not forget that there are 4 very important elements which should not be overlooked as the process continues to progress. And that is communication, plan of action, strategy, and assessment and review. You see, communication is paramount throughout the entire process. If communication breaks down, then the process breaks down with it and will ultimately fail. Now, communication is the foundation of all successful planning operations. Now, pay close attention to the communication between members of the planning committee and management. You have to keep a close eye that if someone is driving the process forward and that there are no backbiting or infighting or undermining the process. That is why communication skills are very important in any business. How effective we communicate can dictate the success and failure of our business. Next, plan of action. Having a concrete plan of action is a must in business. Now, develop a plan of action and see the fruits of your planning labors. This is where you actually begin to implement what you have designed. Your action plan is your implementation strategy. How will you put into practice what you have communicated in writing? Although the strategic plan itself is a call to multiple forms of action, a succinct plan of action to get things moving is very required. It will include an outline of the steps that you will be taking, the milestones and the team goals that you have to be achieving, defining who is responsible for the completion of that milestone, and determining the start and end dates for budget and other elements. Okay? So, this particular plan of action must be concrete and again, must be measurable. Next is your strategy. Now, in the Merriam-Webster's dictionary, strategy is defined as A, the science and art of employing the political, economic, psychological, and military forces of a nation or group of nations to afford the maximum support to adopted policies in peace or war. Second, the science and art of military command exercised to meet the enemy in combat under advantageous conditions or a variety or instances of the use of strategy. Okay? Now, a stratagem is defined as an artifice or trick in war for deceiving and outwitting the enemy, or a cleverly contrived trick or scheming for gaining an end. Whether it comes down to war, winning a game, or beating your competition, formulating a strategy is the first step in achieving success. Now, having a carefully planned and well-communicated strategy will help in the success of your business. Okay? Again, the strategy must be concrete, it must have a start and end date, and it must be measurable. Lastly, you must have assessment and reviews. Assessment and reviews should occur after you have implemented your plan. You will need to assess how well your plan is working. So, after the implementation of plans, okay, and after you get a few days and a few traction about your plans, then it comes that you have to, again, conduct a meeting and assess where your strategies are and if your plan is being successful or not. You should review with your team which things are working or which things are not. Okay? So, if for example, in your plan, of course, sir, this particular strategy does not really affect the overall view, so you can actually cut it out or you can remove it from your plan. Say, for example, this particular strategy is very surprisingly being successful. So, what you can do is you can put in more resources to augment the capability of that particular plan. So, in a way, it is adjusting to the current situation based on how you deploy your strategy. Has the plan been implemented? What are the bumps in the road that have occurred? What changes should you make? And who should you reward if things are doing well? Now, this is very important. Don't forget this item because people like to be recognized when they are doing a good job. So, awards, plaque of appreciations, and even bonuses helps you motivate the team that handles your strategy. And of course, reviewing performance is key to setting bigger benchmarks and bigger goals for your company in the near and distant future. Okay? Now, to summarize, the key to free enterprise model is to evaluate the idea as best as you can instead of blindly running with it. Before actually executing your idea, you have to evaluate it if it's a success or not, and then after the implementation, you have to review its performance so that you can adjust. Okay? Too often, we have seen entrepreneurs put good money into bad ideas. Not only did they lose significant money assets, but they also lost a huge amount of their time and created stress and health issues in their lives. Now, don't let this be you and your team. Remember, it is estimated that only 20% of businesses make it to the 5th anniversary. Okay? And following this plan increases your chances of being successful in business. Do your due diligence and make sure you properly evaluate your business idea. Now, that ends my lecture on free enterprise model. If you have any questions, your questions will be addressed during the synchronous sessions, or you can send them via course message or email. Now, thank you very much for watching and keep safe.